Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. I'm your host JJ, and with me today I once again have Sergej.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine too.
Very exciting conversation. What are we talking about today, Sergej?
Yeah. Oh boy. I have notes written down. Let me just check them, okay?
We're talking about historical perspectives.
Historical perspectives.
We're putting history
Yes.
in perspective. So we always think of history as something that's made up of different eras and time periods, but what we don't really realize is that A, there's no clear lines between those, and oftentimes they overlap in ways that we don't expect, and B, just because of how we think of certain things kind of informs when we think they happen in relation to one another, and we're often wrong. So this is basically just a collection of kind of historical fun facts that relate to timing in some way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah.
Let me, I think this is best explained with an example. I'm going to start off with my first point that I've written down. Yes, I made notes. And
what a
nerd.
nerd.
Yes, I am. The first one is that there were still woolly mammoths alive when the pyramids were built.
That is a fun fact.
Who'd have thought?
I'm gonna counter with my fun fact of the week from last week. Sharks and trees.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a good point, right? I mean, we don't really sometimes think about, sharks is just because they still exist today, we kind of don't think of them as ancient necessarily. Whereas somehow we do think of plants differently than animals in that way.
Yep.
So yeah, that's some of the big scale things. I actually have one more large scale thing, and that is humans have existed for roughly 6 million years, and we generally consider modern societies to have started about 5,000 years ago. So I feel like that's a huge thing in terms of perspective, and that kind of shows how a lot of the eras are getting shorter and shorter, right? Where prehistorical humanity existed for millions of years until we actually ever started establishing real larger groups and societies and cities and whatnot. Then that of course also tells you that anything that is ancient history is on such a huge scale closer to us right now than to the first humans. Pretty much no matter what. Ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, pyramids, doesn't matter, right? It's closer to today than it is to the first humans. That's kind of insane to think about, I think.
Oh yeah.
Do you have something you
crazy.
Want to add?
Wasn't there a thing where still going for the ancient civilizations? Wasn't there a thing where the pyramids were as ancient, or more ancient to Cleopatra than Cleopatra is to us?
I think so. Something like that, yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
Well, let's just Cleopatra. Born 69 BC. Nice. Wait. Oh yeah, 69 through 30. Wow. Wait. Oh no, is that her? No, that's her reign. Okay. Okay. I assume that is. Yeah, was the last of the Proletarian and pyramid. Sure.
Oh yeah, 2.6 thousand BC.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's one of those things, right? It does you wouldn't think that, right? Because both of those things are ancient Egypt to us.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's just like, oh yeah, like ancient Egyptians. Yeah, like Cleopatra, pyramids, like whatever. Right? Like, freaking, like Tut and whatnot, like all of those guys. But it's such a huge time span. Like,
It's crazy.
ancient Egypt is like the vaguest thing you can say, basically. Like, yeah, like, ancient Egypt, like, yeah, like, 3,000 years, like, that's like far less vague than saying the Middle Ages or something. And then again, the closer you get to the present, the more precise saying an era becomes. Of course, if you think about stuff that happened within like the last 100 years or so, we generally refer to decades. That's not necessarily something that will hold up in the future as much, but because of how the stuff is grouped by like technological and societal advancements, and also by just back in the day, by like the kind of the form of government or the area that was controlled by one group of people, sort of a thing. It just lasted longer.
Yeah.
I have some. I think most of the rest of what I have is smaller scale. So if you have like a grand scale thing, that would probably be a good time. I mean, we can always come back.
Nothing right now. Yeah. I think it's
So, have you ever heard of the United States of America?
Oh yeah. Pretty new
Yes.
to the party.
The Declaration of Independence was signed when, Sergej?
Oh boy, don't out me like this, man.
The 4th of July, 1776.
Okay.
Now, that was 240... Well, not even quite 245. I mean, it's not even July yet, right? Like, 245 years ago. The oldest recorded human person ever, which is to say the longest recorded human lifespan, was 122 years and 164 days. That being over 122 and a half years. Meaning that the existence of the United States has existed for less time than twice the longest recorded human lifespan. Now,
Crazy to think about.
It's virtually impossible that there were actually two human beings that have lived for the entirety of US history together, but still crazy to think that, like, there is a person who has lived for half of the existence of the United States. Somewhere in the middle there. She's been dead for a couple of years now, but that is kind of insane.
That truly is insane.
Speaking of US history, do you want to guess which US president was born in the year 1946?
Oh man, just stop with the questions. I don't know history.
I guess since we're doing historical perspectives, I should say that the Second World War ended in 1945. Which president was born in 1946? The answer, by the way, which former US president, was born in 1946 is Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
That's a lot of them.
3 of the last 4 US presidents were born in the year 1946. Not including
It's
the current
crazy.
one. But like the 3 of the 4 previous, which is to say 3 of the 5 living former US presidents were born in the same year. That is the majority of all currently living US presidents. Like, there is 5 currently living former US presidents. There is 1 living current US president. I think you have to be living to be a current president. Don't quote me on that. So there's 6 currently living US presidents, out of which 3, there's mad, 3 were born in the same year. And the best part is, they were born in June, July, and August. Like, they were born within 3 months, 3 successive months. Like, I think it was in order too, but I don't remember that exactly, but they were born in the same year! Isn't that crazy?
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Also, that kind of goes hand in hand with the whole generational thing, right? We kind of divide people into generations. And so, 1946, I believe, should already be baby boomers, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me just Google that.
So a lot of US presidents were part of what is known as the Greatest Generation, which is the generation that fought in World War II, I believe. And then, right after that, the next US presidents all were boomers. And
1946 till 1964.
That was tight, but yeah. So Jimmy Carter was still part of the Greatest Generation, and I guess George H.W. Bush would have been as well. And then after that, they had boomers. But what is interesting is that there was a generation in between. The Silent Generation.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Which fittingly did not have a US president until now. Because Joe Biden is the first US president of the Silent Generation. Which, by the way, means he's older than the last 4 presidents before him. Which... I don't think that's as much about historical perspective, but it's still weird to know, like, with presidents having a tendency to get older as they enter office, there's like so many presidents that were born so close to one another as well. Like, yeah. Joe Biden was born in 42, right? He's like 4 years older than Clinton, Bush Jr., and Trump. And like, so they were all born in like within the same couple of years. Though, again, the fact that 3 of them were born in the same year, I think is the most impressive takeaway here.
Yep. Oh, man.
The United States of America, man. It's a weird place. I mean, I could also make a point about how presidents are disproportionately left-handed, but that has nothing to do with putting history in perspective, so... 1846. 3... I literally just happened across that fact, like, randomly. I saw a list of like, it was like all the currently living former presidents, which again, there's like 5 of them, and they listed their ages. And I saw that a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, wait a second, 3 of them are 74? And it's like, it's really early in the year, so they must have been born either in the same year, or one of them would have had to have been born in like January the year after, right? And so I looked it up, and yep, sure enough, all born in the same year. Speaking of US presidents.
Oh god, more history. Oh no.
That's what this topic is about!
I'm joking.
Queen Elizabeth II started her reign in 1952. And there has been 14 US presidents since. Also, fun fact that I just found out today, 2 years later, in 1954, Angela Merkel was born. Just as another, like... I don't know how interesting that is to, like, international audiences, but she was born 2 years after the current Queen of England started her reign. Like, for her entire life, Queen Elizabeth II has been the Queen. of England and the Commonwealth and whatever.
Yep.
Speaking of, the Queen was born in 1926. That is not that interesting in and of itself. But one thing that I have heard being cited as an interesting
turn
fact...
100 soon.
Yes, she is...
And my camera died,
camera's frozen.
didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
It's all going according to plan. Except, not at all. Yeah, she would... Well, she's 90... She would turn 95 this year. It's not quite that close to 100, but...
At least I'm not making a silly face or anything. Just gonna leave it like that.
Sure. Like, from now on, we're just always just gonna have a picture of Sergej whenever he's on the podcast. We're not even gonna bother. Where was I? Right. 3 years after she was born, some other people were born. Now, well, I mean, people were born all the time. What has been cited as like a historical fun fact is that Anne Frank and Martin Luther King Jr. were both born in 1929. Now...
Oh yeah, I've actually heard that.
Yeah, to be fair, like, about half of what I've written down is from the Vsauce video, Our Narrow Slice. So, you know.
Oh yeah.
Possibly from there.
Probably,
yeah. Check out Vsauce, Our Narrow Slice. It's kind of what we're talking about today. In part. I tried to find out some of my own as well. But yeah, so the fun fact there, that was also mentioned in that video, is that those two were born in the same year. Which honestly didn't surprise me that much. But what I did take note of is that they said 1929. And I recognized that year. Because someone else was born that year. Now, this is, again, one of those things where I'm going to draw a personal anecdote here. My maternal grandmother was born in 1929. The same year as Anne Frank and Martin Luther King.
Oh.
Which I find a lot more interesting purely because, like, you know, she's 91. She's, like, currently alive. Like, it's, like, sure, saying that someone from 1920, born in 1929 could be alive is by any means far-fetched, but I kind of find it interesting that, you know, you probably know people who were born in that year. And yet we think of the other two as, like, not exactly ancient, but definitely historical figures.
Yep.
Let me take a sip while you entertain the people.
That But yeah, it's really, really strange, like, seeing people that are basically the same age, like, even if it's just a couple of years off, but we think of one as just being old, and one being like a historical figure of the past.
Yeah.
It just... Damn. It's crazy.
And one thing that I think also puts this very well into perspective, the currently oldest living person, the oldest person alive right now, is a woman who was born in 1903.
Oh, boy. Dang.
So, she, so that, like, pretty much all of what we talked about, besides the US and the greater historical context stuff, right? But, like, Anne Frank, Martin Luther King, Queen Elizabeth, right? Like, freaking all the US presidents that are currently alive, you know, like, they're all, like, not even close to as old as this woman.
Yeah.
Like,
boy.
That's something that I think puts a lot into perspective. Yeah, so someone lived through all of that. Which is also kind of wild to think about people that remember a time when again, I always come back to Queen Elizabeth because it seems like one of those things that just is just like, yeah, she's the Queen of England. Like, who else, right? Like, because not just has she been that throughout the entirety of our lifetimes, but through the entirety of the lifetimes of most people alive today.
Yeah.
Having been the Queen for, like, what, 70 years almost now? 69 years? 68 years? Probably 68 and change, but, like, that's a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, again, if I say 68, then you're like, obviously there's older people. But that's just not how we look at history, right?
Yeah?
I have one more thing on my list, which we've mentioned on the podcast before, but otherwise I'm through my notes. Do you have anything to add before I go to my last point?
Not really.
Um,
Okay, actually, I might. I might.
Okay.
But go ahead first. Things.
So one thing that Alex has used as a fact of the week before, which by the way was also mentioned in our Narrow Slice. So again, shout out to Vsauce. The last person executed by guillotine in France was executed in 1977, which is the same year in which Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope came out. The first Star Wars movie.
Yep.
The numbering is confusing.
Yep.
But
I had that written down as one of my facts of the week too.
Well, it's been said. It's been said twice on the podcast now.
Dang.
And then again, to think that 1977 is a lot more recent than a lot of those things we talked about. Yet the guillotine strikes us as like very old.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an old concept, but like, yeah, no, it was used somewhat recently, and quite frankly, it's probably a better execution method than some of the ones that are still being used today.
Very, very efficient.
Yeah, like, dude, electrical chair, like poisoning with like whatever chemicals they happen to have lying around. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, there's specific chemicals for putting prisoners to death, but there have been a lot of cases where if they just didn't have access to chemicals, they would just like mix up something and then it wouldn't always work. And
yeah. Okay. By the way, JJ, do you know when the computer was invented? Basically, I'm not talking about calculators, like actual computers, like in Turing machine.
I mean, the Turing machine would have been developed during World War II, right? Because didn't Alan Turing develop that in the process of trying to crack the Enigma? that being the Nazi encryption machine.
Enigma machine.
Not just the Enigma. That sounds ominous.
So, he wrote, like, he described the machine in an essay that he wrote in 1948.
Okay, so it was after the war.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
After the war.
But I think
there's a lot of
there's a connection, right?
People alive. What?
There's a connection, right, between like his work during the war and him developing the Turing machine.
Very, very, very likely. But man, just crazy to think about, like, that people were alive before the Turing machine wasn't even a concept.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I understand that is a bit of an interesting historical perspective, but that one seems less shocking to me because I still think of computers as a relatively new thing. So even though, of course, it's like not just a computer, but like the concept that it's based on is of course a bit more insane, but...
one other thing. Fun fact, Alan Turing did not invent the computer.
Right.
there was a machine actually built that. Wait, let me just quickly search for the year again. Okay, it is called the Analytical Engine,
Sounds vaguely familiar.
and was the concept for it was made in 1837.
Well, now that's a lot earlier.
A lot earlier. But it was not completed, like actually built, until 1941.
Huh. That's very close to the Turing. Well, that is during Turing's lifetime.
Yes.
Tongue twister.
And that thing was actually Turing complete. So it was a full-fledged computer.
Oh.
And it was completely mechanical. Wasn't electronic.
Well, to be fair,
That is the craziest part to me.
while it makes it more complicated to build, it arguably was easier at the time. I don't know. I mean, I guess they had electronics, but I don't know if they had it to like the degree where they could reliably build something as complex as a computer.
Oh yeah, by the way, it wasn't built because because people just, from my quick skim over the text on Wikipedia, because people didn't really understand what he was doing and didn't really want to give him more funding.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, to be honest.
The
guy never saw his creation.
Yeah, that happens a lot, actually.
Yeah.
By the way, Alan Turing died in 1954, so that means a couple of things. A, Queen Elizabeth II was queen by the time he died, and B, it was the same year in which, as I said earlier, Angela Merkel was born. So, make of that what you will.
Another interesting fact.
Like, I mean, I just noticed that, but whenever I saw the date, I was like, huh, that's the same date. Well, in the same year, not. I don't think it was the exact same date. That would be interesting.
Oh, by the way, I just remembered something. A fact that I used a couple of weeks ago that also fits this topic quite well.
Okay.
Let me just quickly pull it up. Do you remember the fact where I talked about the age of the universe?
Vaguely.
So basically, the age of the universe is 13.8 roughly giga years.
Yes.
And like with a margin of error of 0.021 giga years, which is pretty accurate. I'm not gonna lie. But the oldest star from current measurements is 14.46 giga years old, which is quite a bit older than the universe.
Yeah, that.
But I gotta say, the margin of error is much higher. It's 0.8 giga years, so it could very well be. Well, it most likely was created after the universe.
Wouldn't it be a lot cooler though if it were?
It would be a lot cooler, yes. Yeah, it might actually be one of the first stars ever created, which is quite fascinating. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. That is very fascinating. That's putting some, prehistory to perspective.
And I think I'm just gonna use my fact of the week because it also fits quite nicely here. Meaning I'm probably either gonna skip my fact of the week or just gonna quickly look up another one.
So that finishes this topic. Sergej, what is your fact of the week?
Okay.
I mean,
can you
we're just about
take
to
a guess
anyways.
what?
Sorry. Yeah.
True. Can you take a guess at roughly when like the first clockwork mechanism was made?
The first clock.
No, not clockwork mechanism, like with gears and stuff. Yes.
I mean, okay, just a mechanism with multiple gears, like
to keep track of time.
To keep track of time. I mean, in theory, there's really no significant use for it before the Industrial Revolution, but technologically it should have been possible way earlier. So, I'm gonna guess like 2,000 years ago.
That is pretty precise, man. God, I'm gonna butcher that name. Antikythera mechanism. Boy, it is dated somewhere between. Oh God, it's actually has multiple dates. 1 second. It's been developed roughly like 87 BC.
Okay.
It keeps track of a lot of different things, mostly
so what you're saying is it was
movements.
Off by 100 years.
Yes. but considering that you guessed 2,000 years ago, 100 years is like what, 5% of that?
Yes.
Doesn't sound too bad to me. So yeah, it kept track of a lot of things, like kept track of the year, the moon's orbit, the lunar phase, a lot of other stuff that I don't know what it is, but has something to do with planetary movement.
Where was that built?
Greece, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. Because
yeah.
For like those sort of times, I had like 3 places in mind. Though I think one of them would have been a bit later, probably. So I was thinking probably.
Oh
like
yeah, it also keeps track of like the Olympiad cycle, which is 4 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, does that too. And actually, it is from just calculating by the gear ratios. It is very, very precise. Sometimes, like actually not sometimes, just most of the time being off by like 0.03 days or something only for planetary movements, like back in the day.
That's less than
BC,
an hour.
man. Which is quite impressive. But sadly, because technology was really, really not far advanced back in the day, and they used gears with triangular teeth, it was really, really imprecise. And a lot of the mechanisms they built into this to really narrow it down to like less than an hour of precision was basically completely useless by the fact that the teeth were just so loose. Was off by a lot.
That's unfortunate.
And obviously not considering that they didn't really knew how the planets actually worked. They sometimes, depending on planetary position, were off by like up to, I think I read 37 degrees.
That's quite
38 degrees.
That's quite a bit.
Yes, but overall the they had the time for a planet to orbit the sun pretty much down to a T.
Yeah, no, that's definitely they back in the day they had very good astronomical models, surprisingly good by modern standards, because that's also one of those things we generally tend to think of people in ancient times as knowing less than they actually did. Like we always underestimate people in ancient times, and we specifically always underestimate people in the Middle Ages.
Yeah,
but that comes later. But it makes sense so that they weren't keeping track of time of day, because as I said, that's not really a thing that I think was done too much before the Industrial Revolution, before we had lamps.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we had lamps before then, but like to the point
where.
where.
If I send you a link of like a diagram of the mechanism, are you gonna be able to pull it up real quick? Just to showcase the complexity of it. You can open that in the browser by using middle mouse button.
Yes, let me actually do something really clever right now. I think I can do this. Wait, does it actually... No, that doesn't actually make any sense, does it? No, it doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess I'm just gonna go to my... Actually, I can't really... No, I actually can't really do that without, like, the chat replacing your camera. That's...
Oh, okay. Well, that is unfortunate. Well, okay then.
I was trying to think of something really quickly, but not really as easily. I guess I could technically pause the recording, but let's not get fancy today, okay?
Okay.
Theoretically, you could open it and screen share it in place of your camera, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, God, no. I'm not gonna do that mistake twice.
Well, not like screen share in Discord, but isn't literally just like... Anyways.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. Could try that, I guess.
Meanwhile, while we're working on that, I guess I'm gonna recite my fact of the week really quickly. This is something I found out today, and to be fair, it was in the news, so this might not be new to everyone, but I still thought it was very interesting. It's kind of a two-parter, because I kind of found out two things in one go that strongly relate. Did you know that former US presidents still get security briefs on security intel on certain things, even once they left office?
No, but...
Apparently they do, which seems like a huge security risk, but whatever.
Yeah.
So apparently they do still sometimes get briefings, so from what I understand, it's both a courtesy and to potentially give them the opportunity to advise the current president, in case he wants it, I suppose. But Biden was like, okay, so we're giving security briefs to the previous presidents. Okay, not Trump though. So he was like, okay, like it's way too much of a national security risk to just give sensitive information to Trump. So the briefs is a thing that I've been doing before, but now pretty much the only president who doesn't get one is Trump. So like, again, the other guys I mentioned earlier, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, they still get their security briefs, but not Trump.
Dang.
So, you know.
Yeah.
That is my fact of the week. So, do you want to throw up the schematic or not? Are we going to move on to the next thing?
No. I don't know if I
Sergej,
can actually properly do that. Yes.
would you do me a favor and generate a random number between 1 and 4?
Can you not just pull up random.org? Maybe. Do it fair and square. The camera does not see the die.
If it's fair and square that you want, my friend. Does it work? Does it work? Does it work? Does it work? Wait, I'm gonna.
I think it's a 3. Okay.
Which means we're gonna once again try playing higher or lower. As the
God.
Let me pull that up really quickly. Yes, we randomly determined our halftime show. That's the kind of folks that we are. So, this is what I want to press.
I just realized we didn't give the list and the numberings out beforehand, so we could have actually cheated.
Yes, that is correct. We didn't, though. As a matter of fact, people don't even know what's on our list. So, surprises. Also love how we still have Sergej's frozen face in the corner for no good reason. So, classic.
You could totally just turn off the camera for me.
I mean, I could. I mean, let's see, which one is it? Discord window capture. And I just realized I had my OBS on the screen the whole time as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's fun. So, it doesn't matter.
Oh, boy.
Who has more... Who do you think has more average monthly searches? Penn and Teller or WikiLeaks?
Oh god, I really hope it's higher, but I doubt that. I'm gonna go lower.
Honestly, I'm gonna go lower, because why would you search for WikiLeaks?
To navigate to the site.
I feel like the kinds of people that would go there are probably not the ones who are gonna use Google to get there. Just a suspicion. So you guess lower?
Yeah.
Well, my bad. I'm gonna do a round now. You got 0 points, Sergej.
Aww.
Los Angeles or The Matrix? That's actually an interesting question. I'm gonna go lower. Yep. The Matrix or Beaver Stadium? Never heard of it. Lower. Yep. What is with all the things I've never heard of? Who's Tara Palmer Tompkinson? I'm gonna guess higher.
I don't fucking know, man.
Like, 12k is not a lot. Yeah. Jimi Hendrix. I mean, at least I know who that is. I'm gonna go higher. But this is one of those cautiously optimistic things. Thank you, the people. Oh, I love how my facecam covers our current score, but the high score is still on screen from, like, whenever we played it before.
Yeah.
Air hockey. I'm not gonna have that much faith in humanity, so I'm gonna go higher. Well, thank you, humanity, I suppose. I mean, that's not bad. Sergej!
Woo!
Want to search for more, Dr. Dre or Peru?
Who the fuck is that?
I believe he's a musician. I want to say rapper?
Okay, I don't know, watch me get another 0,
I mean, to be fair, you
higher.
could also guess if Peru has more or less than 500,000. You said higher?
Yeah.
Yes.
Heh. I wonder what I should pick. Gonna pick lower, obviously.
What does it say anyways? Oh, Penn State, huh? Is that what that is? I mean, it still would be odd to search for the stadium, but Xanax.
God, I don't know what that fuck that is.
Well, I mean, the picture tells you about as much as I know. So
yes, I don't know. Lower?
you're gonna go with lower?
Yeah.
No way in hell.
What the fuck is that? Why is everyone searching that?
I'm trying to remember. I think it's for like anxiety or something. I'm not 100% certain. It is relatively well known.
Never heard of it.
Like it's definitely a brand name that gets thrown around a lot. I think. I mean, I'm definitely gonna play another round because so that we're even. And then I guess these are going fast, so we can do one more after that. The dress.
Yeah.
And it has the it looks like it's white and gold. Chelsea or the dress. I'm gonna say Chelsea is higher, so I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah. Just to gonna bring up the controversy.
This picture it seems very clear. I don't know.
But like the full picture.
Yeah.
Do you see it as white and gold or?
I don't remember. I've also seen all the edits where they point out the shadows and everything. Like I don't remember anything about that in detail though. I don't even remember what the actual color was, which is the fun part. Amazon is definitely higher. I guess we don't have to ask about that.
Yeah,
I would say
that
probably
is
like
pretty
5
obvious.
million or something. Or sorry, I meant to say 250 million. Lower. Way lower. Algeria. I mean, I don't think they're that high, but 10k is not a huge hurdle to clear. I'm gonna go higher.
Yeah.
Oh god. How many people search for Winnie the Pooh? I'm gonna go higher. Well, no one in his own country is Googling him, so, there's that. Let's play one round each, and then call it a day.
Sure.
Sergej, The Catcher in the Rye or Donkey Kong Country?
God. Probably higher. I have no fucking clue.
Two classic works of well, yeah,
art.
You get the gist. It was lower.
RIP.
Wait, you are really not doing well in this, are you?
Nope.
I'm gonna go one more time. Triple H. Paul Levesque. Or Facebook. I'm gonna say Facebook is higher. Sorry, Triple H, but they probably also got like 500 million or something. Sorry, I'm gonna say 2.5 billion. Flute. I mean, it's a very simple word, right? But I would assume that even then it is still lower.
Oh, yeah.
HIV is higher. Obviously. Well, not obviously, but Neil Diamond. Sergej, is Neil Diamond more popular than HIV? What do we think? Oh god, I want to say
I've never heard of that guy. I don't know people, man.
Are you familiar with the song Sweet Caroline?
I've probably heard it.
People!
But I'm also not really good with song names. So that's that.
People are disappointing me today.
Oh yeah, like always.
Neil Diamond, Crackling Rosie, Sweet Caroline. He had a couple of songs. Dude, I mean, okay, I kind of get that, like, they're two very different categories at least. But, I mean, Neil Diamond is a classic.
I don't fucking know, man. I don't know people. I don't know song names. I probably heard it before.
Google search volumes.
Still.
So, in other news, Sergej, do we live in the future?
Probably. I mean, the topic 2 says, gonna quote, the future is now, old man. That's what it says in the notes.
I mean, it is possible
I
that
didn't
it says
write
that in the notes.
that.
Who could have possibly written that?
There's only 2 people that have access to the document.
Well, technically, anyone with a link has access to it.
Technically correct, yes.
I don't like the actual statement. Like, oh yeah, we live in the future. Because, like, that's literally not what that means, right? Like, the future, like, by definition, hasn't happened yet.
I don't know, the nerve latency is a thing. We do live in the past.
Well, yeah. Dude, it's really weird, like, some of the things the brain does. But I digress.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know that you can see while your eyes are moving?
Oh, yeah, I knew that. For, like, a long time, for the majority of my lifespan, actually.
Like, while your eyes are moving, you can't see, so your brain fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
But you don't remember not seeing it and then later coming up with the gaps because it, like, basically changes your memory of what happened. Like,
yeah. Pretty cool, though.
Apparently, you can look at a clock and, like, not one that moves continuously, but like one that actually, like, ticks like a regular old analog clock. And if you look at the seconds and then you move your head, you can actually see that, like, the second when you move your head took longer to tick over than the other seconds.
Just to
Something
quickly
like that.
demonstrate, if you have a clock that you can look at, as JJ described, with that ticks, or like a digital clock that shows the seconds.
Yeah, I prefer the clock handle because it seems more visual, but yeah.
Yeah, also the click, the tick. The audio, at least for me, is also kind of delayed if you do that.
Oh,
but
okay.
quickly to demonstrate, just look at it, look away, even without moving your head, just your eyes, and then look at it. Just get your eyes back on the clock. The first tick should take quite a bit longer than all the other ones that follow.
I just noticed something weird.
It's pretty cool.
When I look away and then I look back at the screen, it takes a split second because of the latency until my eyes are moved back on the recording, which creates a really weird effect where it looks almost like because my eyes take a second to focus, it looks almost like my eyes are just snapping back into position.
That's interesting. But yeah, we've moved quite off topic, right?
So yeah, we don't just live in the past, we live in our imagination. Sergej, the future.
The future, Moore's Law.
Ah, yes. The capacitor density on our chips doubles every... How many years was it?
It changes. I think at first it was like... boy, what was it at first? Was it every year? Was it like even more often?
Moore's law is the observation that the number of transistors on a dense integrated circuit doubles about every 2 years.
Well, yeah, nowadays that's the definition. But I think at first it was only a year.
Moore's law is an observation, a projection of a historical trend, rather than a law of physics. It is an empirical relationship, blah, blah, blah. Gordon Moore. the co-founder of Fairchild Semiconductor and CEO and co-founder of Intel, who in 1965 posited a doubling every year. And projected the rate of growth will continue for at least another decade. In 1975, looking forward to the next decade, he revised the forecast to doubling every 2 years. Compound annual growth rate of 41%. While Moore did not use empirical evidence in forecasting that the historical trend would continue, his prediction held since 1975 and has since become known as a law. Quote Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah. That's a thing. I mean, it's been slowing down, but it's still...
I feel like
it's still crazy.
It's the perfect way to show how crazy our technology grows, right? Like, people always talk about, like, oh, yeah, like more things happened in, like, the last 50 years and, like, all of human history and technological evolution and whatnot. Like, sure. But, like, this puts a number on it, where it's like, once we had computers, like, their speeds doubled every other year. Very simplified, of course, and software can't always keep up, but in theory, our speeds double every 2 years, which is a lot.
That is just unimaginable, to me, at least.
Yeah. It counts with a lot of other things as well, like how I remember back when having a terabyte of storage was like an insane top-end thing.
Right?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Like...
I remember those times.
Like, oh yeah, just
I
like
was really
there,
proud of my... I was really proud of my, like, 200 gigabytes of storage back in the day.
These days, again, there's multiple terabyte SSDs. And they're like this big.
Oh yeah, I mean,
roundabout.
It's actually also pretty big. There was like M.2 SSDs.
Yeah, I mean, how tall is M.2? I was trying to go for M.2, but
M.2 doesn't have a specified height, or at least one specified height. It has multiple ones.
I was about to say, they gotta be more or less standardized. That's because you gotta screw it in at the end usually. So
yes, there's like, I think 4 or 5 different heights it can have, if I remember correctly.
Great.
Yeah. But it's like really thin and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's insane if you look at like an old hard drive, and then you look at it like an M.2 SSD.
But one thing that I find even more fascinating are like 0.5 terabyte micro SD cards.
Oh yeah.
That just blows my mind.
Also, I think
completely.
Isn't there like I don't remember exactly, but like 128 or 256 gigs RAM DIMMs as well.
Oh boy, I actually don't know.
Like,
but would not surprise me.
You can build a computer that has over 1 terabyte of RAM.
Oh yes.
Like, not necessarily on consumer hardware that easily, but like it is possible to do it. And it, like, with relatively regular, like, you can buy the parts and build it yourself. It's beyond consumer grade at that point, but it is doable.
Yeah. You don't really require that much specialized hardware to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta have some insane DIMMs and a good motherboard, right? Like,
yeah. Just kind of costs a lot of money, but in the end, it's more or less consumer hardware still.
I mean, yeah, don't know exactly how they sell it. I think some of those might be server parts. I'm not sure if all of those are available as like desktop parts. And once you get into servers, it's generally not considered consumer anymore. But yeah.
Okay.
But
then yeah, sure.
But again, like, you as a regular human being can just go to a website and buy that stuff.
Yeah. That also brings me to another point, but you can just go and shop online.
Yeah.
Like we take that shit for granted.
I mean, it's great in a time when you should be avoiding other human beings.
Yes, but like, just not even thinking about the internet. Just purely the logistical,
Infrastructure?
the logistical effort, infrastructure. Yes, that's the word I was looking for, man. Just crazy. There's like millions of packets being sent every day. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, that is definitely a complicated thing. I mean, there were some ideas for Amazon to literally drone deliver your packages within like minutes after you've ordered their stuff, but I don't think that was like widely implemented ever.
I don't think we have advanced enough technology for that yet. I think it's gonna be like another decade or so before that happens.
Yeah, I also don't think it's, even if it's possible, I'm not sure if it's reasonable, because just having a driver drive around and like deliver an entire neighborhood's worth of packages in an afternoon versus having like a small drone that has to like go back to the home base every time and deliver something just so that it's there like a couple hours earlier is probably also just not worth it from a cost standpoint.
I don't know, like you don't really have to pay the drone.
Well, yeah, but it takes power. You have to maintain it. It does have maintenance costs. I mean, there. I don't know how long they like last, because I don't know electrical motors. I literally don't know about their like upkeep requirements and whatnot.
I actually don't know either, but I don't think it's low by any means.
Well, that's our discussion about drone delivery.
Oh yeah. And I also think it's really less moving parts than a car has, so I think you're gonna be spending more money on car maintenance than on drone maintenance anyway.
Possible. I was just thinking because of like the fact that you have to individually deliver every item in that case, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that seems like a very specific
I don't know either.
problem anyways.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about artificial intelligence?
Kinda, sorta. Especially since GPT-3 has been out for quite a bit actually now. Which for people that haven't heard the news in the IT field, it is a general language model that can complete a text based on a prompt. But it not only can do that, it actually writes as if it is a human being. It oftentimes still missing words here. I think GPT-3 would have done a better job at this than me. I'm
just gonna, like, in the near future, I'm just gonna replace Sergej with an AI. It's just going to generate an image of Sergej's face that is moving in accordance to like sounds that are synthesized from a text that is generated. Like there's just going to be 3 AIs working together to replace Sergej.
It's just going to be Cleverbot.
I'm just going to go to Cleverbot again. No, it's just like, it's, one AI for the text generation, one for the voice synthesis, that's the word. It's always the simple ones. And then one to make the image match the movement. I was trying to say like something synthesization, but that's just not a word.
Might be. Doesn't sound too wrong. But yeah, it keeps the text on point. And if you write in a specific style, like if you begin the text as if it is like a news article, it's gonna keep it as a news article. If you start as, I don't know, like a recipe, like cooking recipe, it's gonna stick to that style. It can even go as far as completing code in various different languages. Surprisingly, even like actually working code too, not just some random garbage.
Sergej, I've got a video idea.
Yeah. What?
How about we cook whatever GPT autocompletes our recipe to?
Oh man, that ooh. I do like that.
Cooking autocompleted recipes.
Okay. Man, that is a pretty good idea. Gotta see if anyone else came up with that.
I mean, the idea of this and this AI generated thing has always definitely been a video idea. Like
yeah.
Oh, a video skit that was written by a bot, and then it turns out that it actually wasn't because it's way too coherent. But
Yeah.
And like those sort of videos have definitely been made. I'm not sure if it was done specifically with cooking though. That seems very specific, and it has the added bonus of like depending on what it actually puts in there, you might legitimately not know while you're making if it's going to be good or not.
Yeah. So yeah, like, and that's only like this. What I've told you is basically only the surface level of what this AI can do. Just crazy.
Wasn't it also GPT-3
that's like just
when it generated images off of a prompt?
That is a modified version of GPT-3. But yes, it is the underlying model.
I think they also had a second AI that does image recognition to filter out the bad results or something.
Yes.
Which, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah. It's just so... can you link a few websites?
Sure.
In the description?
Yeah,
okay, because I'm just
send me the link.
Gonna put a couple of them in there.
Put them in there.
Go look at them. Some of them are actually interactive, so you can take a look at them. Play around a bit with the AI.
That's always the fun part, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like, it's fascinating to know what that thing can do and whatnot, but for most people, and I mean, even to a degree for people like us who are somewhat interested in the theory behind it, it's still, like, very fun to have a hands-on thing with it.
Yep. Completely agree.
Though, last time we tried GPT-2 for text completion, it wasn't that great.
I mean, they only had, like, what, a couple 100,000 nodes.
I get it. That's what. Of course, GPT-3 is better than GPT-2. That's kind of the point.
Kind of implied there. But yeah. How about we move on to like something else? We have a couple of points written down. If you want to go in order, that's fine.
I mean, I don't care that strongly, but I guess while we're at technology, it would maybe make sense you wanted to talk about head-mounted displays, as it were.
Oh yes, VR for the people not in the know. HMD for short.
VR, HMD for short.
Yes. Like the device is an HMD.
Yes, yeah.
The technology is VR. Virtual reality.
Honestly, the device itself, I don't even find that fascinating. It's just two screens very close to your eyes, which is exactly what our parents said we shouldn't be doing. But
true. But how about keeping track of those two displays, like where they are in relation to everything else?
yeah, I suppose.
Like I don't know. 10 years ago, that was like complete science fiction.
That's true.
I think that I guess you could have imagined it being used in some like high-tech military equipment for training or something like that, which costs like millions of dollars to operate.
I mean, I definitely
But
remember.
nowadays, it's just you can get cheap ones for like a couple $100.
Yeah, I remember when the Oculus Rift was first announced, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. Oh shit, this is hella expensive. And like these days, it's like if I really wanted one, I could just buy one. Like, it's still not cheap, but it's like affordable.
Yeah. You can get a very, very decent one for only like, what is it, $300? Something like that.
Like, I can literally go over to a drawer there, pull up my wallet, and pull out $300. Like, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I still don't think it's like the best investment that I could make with my money, but like, considering that it used to be thousands upon thousands of bucks to get one.
Yeah. And like nowadays, even mid-range PCs can run a lot of games on them. Yeah. Like I even forgot that there's like the Oculus Quest and Quest 2, which doesn't even require a PC.
Yep, they're standalone. Which, in a way, is the most interesting. I guess technologically speaking, the most interesting, but because it's like all in one, but also like processing power wise, I mean, phones are also insane these days. They're basically just computers but smaller. So.
Oh yeah, the Quest and Quest 2 have mobile phone processors in them.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So yeah, basically a modern smartphone, but strapped to your head. With some additional cameras to keep track of position in space.
Yeah. Wasn't there like a thing at once where there was like a cardboard frame you could like make for your phone to act as a VR headset?
Yes, that's only... That is one thing that confused me for a bit when they first came out and everyone was talking about it. And comparing those to like those big VR headsets from Oculus and Valve, and no, wasn't well back then.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Anyway, because those the Google Cardboard or whatever is only a 3-way freedom VR device, so it can only rotate your head. It does not keep track of your position in space.
Which actually is weird, since your phone can do that.
No, it can't. Not precisely, at least.
I mean, your phone... I mean, if we're gonna go very broad, we have GPS, but that's not precise enough for that, I think.
Nope.
But your phone,
Not
I
at all.
believe, is able to measure acceleration, at least in one distance at a time. I don't know if it can do, like, I think it
can do multiple ones, but again, that is not very precise, and a lot of rapid movement can throw it off by like a lot, like meters.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that is also not really suitable.
I just know that there
but,
is theoretically relevant sensors in phones.
But that is a technology that is used in modern VR headsets to also keep track of position in space.
Weird thought. Wouldn't you be able to use a lot of the more modern phones, or some of the more modern phones, end up having multiple cameras, and apparently that seems to be the new gimmick, right? iPhone. The iPhone had like 3 cameras, and then I saw recently an ad for like a Samsung phone that had like 5 cameras, because I guess it's cool to have more cameras now. But if you have multiple cameras, wouldn't you be able to use those to 3-dimensionally map the space in front of you?
If they're pointed in different directions and are generally basically the same camera.
Oh, right, they have to be at a slight angle, right?
Because
they both point in the same direction.
Even have to be at a slight angle. They can be in the same direction, but spaced apart a bit.
Because I mean, I don't know if they, like, I'm pretty sure the iPhone had the 3 different cameras because of like different like angles, like in terms of like wide angle lens and like a more narrow one, so that those wouldn't work for that purpose. But I don't know what that freaking Samsung phone was doing. That again, it had like 5 cameras maybe that had one in there that was like for 3D purposes. Because at that point,
also like night vision, like as far as that is possible on phones, stuff like that. It's not really suitable.
Yeah, dude. Like
for that.
The whole phone industry is still very confusing to me. Like some of the developments there's like, like at first it was like, oh yeah, like this one, like it was all about camera resolutions and like this many megapixels, that many megapixels, and that was like the main thing that they would advertise. And then at some point Apple was like, our new iPhone has 2 cameras and the Pro version has 3. And then like all of a sudden I guess the trend is to have more cameras than your competitor. Which is like, I mean, I don't know about other people, but I don't ever use my phone camera. Like, this is not an appealing feature to me.
Yeah. True. I had something to say about that too. Just forgot. Shit.
About phones?
Yeah, about phones. I don't know, something headphone jack.
Oh god. Imagine that.
Okay.
I love how just as a speaking of the headphone jack, right? There is a video by the channel Strange Parts where he literally took one of the first iPhones that didn't have a headphone jack and just put one in there. Because the whole argument, like, it can't fit and everything, is nonsense. He actually
wasn't it later debunked as a fake? I don't remember.
Was it?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, he had an entire video where he built the thing. Like, he bought an iPhone, he bought a headphone jack, he, like, opened the thing up, like, took, like, multiple attempts to finagle it in there, and then he had to, like, add a thing where it could switch between the lightning bolt... Wait, is that what it's called? No, it's just lightning, right? The lightning port and the headphone jack, because, of course, he couldn't just add another peripheral to the phone, so... Basically, I don't think he could use his headphones and charge the phone at the same time, which is a bit unfortunate. But of course, if the phone had been built with a headphone jack in mind, that would not have been too difficult to make happen.
Yeah. I really think it's just a scheme to make people buy wireless earbuds.
Yeah, no shit.
But yeah, I think it's time to move on to the next topic, isn't it?
Yes.
Or subtopic.
How about what is it? Desoxyribonucleic acid? Is that what it's called? I'm bad at this.
Boy, chemicals. Imagine knowing chemistry.
Let me use Wikipedia once again. Deoxyribonucleic acid. That was easier than what I said. Yes, we're talking about deoxyribonucleic acid, aka DNA. So, I thought, dude, I actually wrote this down. I looked it up earlier. Do you know when Dolly was born?
Oh shit. Wasn't. Oh fuck. No, I don't.
1996. They
Okay, it
cloned
was
a sheep
yeah.
in 1996.
Yeah.
Like,
I was actually off by quite a bit.
Like, that was before I was born. By 2 years, but still, right? Like, it's insane. So, cloning and gene editing and stuff seems like a very futuristic thing in and of itself as well. But it's very much something that's doable right now. As a matter of fact, when I was looking into
Dolly... It's been doable for quite a long time.
Yeah, as I said, right, like, freaking 25 years that the first mammal was cloned. So, I found something very interesting in the process. A Chinese scientist has actually genetically modified human embryos in 2018. And apparently they were born healthy. So
why didn't that make the news?
I think it did, which is why he landed in prison later. But
rip.
So I'm trying to find. I mean, I'm looking at the Wikipedia article right now, trying to find the interesting part. So the clinical project was conducted secretly until the 25th of November 2018, when MIT Technology Review exposed a story about the human experiment based on information from the Chinese Clinical Trials Registry. Compelled by the situation, he immediately announced the birth of genome-edited babies in a series of 5 videos on YouTube the same day. The first babies, known by their pseudonyms Lulu and Nana, are twins born in October 2018. And the second birth, or the third baby, was born in 2019. He reported that the babies were born healthy. And so he edited a gene that was supposed to make them more resistant to HIV. Where is it? He started a project to help people with fertility problems, specifically involving HIV-positive fathers and HIV-negative mothers. The subjects were offered standard in vitro fertilization services and, in addition, use of CRISPR gene editing and technology for modifying DNA. Specifically, the embryos were edited to have their CCR5 gene in an attempt to confer genetic resistance to HIV. Edited of their CCR5 gene. So yeah,
actually sounds pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, people have ethical concerns about, well, the genetic editing of human babies, so they got a lot of backlash.
I guess.
Then, on December 30th, 2019, Chinese authorities announced that he was found guilty of forging documents, which, fair enough, that's not directly related to, and unethical conduct, which is very vague.
I guess that's the one.
And then he was sentenced to 3 years in prison and a fine of 3 million yuan, I guess. I don't know actually how it's pronounced, which is a little under $500,000 US.
Dang. That is quite something. Not as impressive as the thing I had in mind.
What did you have in mind?
Bananas.
Bananas.
Yes. They're all the same.
Okay.
All of them.
What are you trying to tell me?
It is one banana that has been cloned millions and billions of times.
Okay.
Only one of them.
I mean, to be fair, the bananas we eat don't look anything like the original bananas, anyways. Like most fruit.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of fruit that we eat today used to consist predominantly of seeds, and we bred them to have like less seeds and more like of the actual fruit parts because you don't eat the seeds.
Yeah. But yeah, I found it quite interesting when I found it out. All the same bananas. All of them.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
As they say.
Oh boy. Are we gonna include the other topics, or are we gonna leave them for maybe a repeat of this one? Of this
yeah, I think we've talked about this for a while now, haven't we?
topic. Yeah. Been going on for quite a bit.
Which, I guess, brings up the obvious question. Sergej, what's your song of this week?
Oh boy. This time, going back to Russia.
Going back to Russia.
Or back
Sergej,
to Russian songs.
You've heard your first, people. Sergej's going back to Russia.
Well, hopefully, in the near future, but let's not talk about that. Also, technically, my song of the week is not really a song. It is a musical piece.
Okay.
It is the Miniature Overture. I've probably pronounced it completely wrong. By Tchaikovsky.
Okay.
You probably know this one.
Possible.
But give it a listen.
My song of the week is Hearts on Fire by The Common Linnets. You probably don't know this one, but if copyright goes our way, which is to say our video doesn't get blocked, you'll probably have heard it. Speaking of this video is like 1.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And it's late. So I'm currently thinking about whether or not this video goes out late or tomorrow.
Oh, God.
Because there is literally no way in hell that it's going to be on time. Having said that, whenever you are seeing this video, give it a like. You know, we talk for a long time
maybe.
here. Just do it.
Yeah. Also, man, halftime show ideas, please.
Yes. Comment halftime
We
show
can't
ideas.
be playing the same 4 games over and over again. It's not a thing.
The man's got a point. And of course, as always, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord server, all of the good stuff. Check out the GPT-3 links in the description. And
Not
Sergej.
only GPT-3 related stuff too. But yeah, I guess that's it.
That's it.